Oh. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Oh, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Wednesday evening Dhamma discussion and meditation practice. So I'd ask people in the mailing I sent out on Monday to send in some Dhamma questions that they might have had or have. And so I did get an email with a couple of questions from one of you. This person has been trying to understand the fetter of personality view. Now, personality view means basically, clinging to the sense of an I or me. That's, in our mind. That means consciousness. So, everybody has the sense of I, me in their mind. And most people don't know how it got there. And they don't know how, to really to deal with it or understand it. And this was one of the Buddha's specialties. Now, personality view is part of delusion, the self-delusion. And I've written a book about breaking through the self-delusion. And it's basically the 5 aggregates of clinging that we take to be self. This is what the Buddha said in so many different suttas. The 5 aggregates are basically this physical form, and then feelings, perceptions, volitions, and the consciousness. So these 5 things we cling to as being I, me, and mine. And we relate to them from kind of different angles. Now, this is the particular question this person has. He says, I find it confusing to distinguish these various wrong views of self. And basically these wrong views are that the Buddha elaborates. We take these 5 aggregates as self, or the self as being in the aggregates, or that the aggregates are in the self, or that the aggregates are identical to the self. And so he repeats this, how we identify, we conceive in self, of self, apart from self. These are just different ways our mind kind of relates, to ourself and to our history. And and it's not only to our self, meaning our body, but it's also when we see an object, we conceive of it in how our relationship to that object has been in the past, or projects it into the future. What was I in the past? What will I be in the future? Am I now or am I not? So there's a lot of confusions that people have in the way that they identify with this feeling of self. So apart from these different ways of what the Buddha mentions, that they're all just, they cover every conceivable way that we relate to our body and our mind, and especially the sense of self. So, it can be confusing when the Buddha uses these different terms of conceive in self, from self, apart from self, with self, without self, and so on. So that's kind of confusing to the average person. So it's best just to understand that it all means that we're taking, we take our body for self, because we look in the mirror and we say, that's me. And that, that we have a name. And I've given many talks on how this sense of self has come to be. You weren't born with it. And, you're born basically with consciousness in a very expanded state without the sense of self there. Although you might have had it in a previous life, but when you die, and then the mind goes into the womb at conception, it basically pretty much loses that, and only when it is born, it is still, that sense of self is still kind of, in abeyance. And it takes, usually many months or a year or two for the senses to develop, and our exposure to all of the things that we might have experienced in a past life, things that we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. And then the phobias and the fears that we have toward things that we might have acquired in a past life, they come to this life also. Or strong attachments to certain things, or strong aversions that we may not have had much exposure to in this life, but yet these are there in the sankharas, in the way we perceive things, and so our feelings also. So the physical forms, and then the feelings that these forms generate in us, and the pleasant or painful feelings. We're saying, I don't like that, or this brings me pain, or this brings me pleasure, and how I identified that in the past. So, or projecting it into the future with more desire. So, anyway, the personality belief is all of those things together form sort of our personality, and especially as the person grows up. And you're learning more things, more and more of these sankharas, come up to affect the way we relate to things. So I would say, don't try to figure out, what the Buddha was saying about, well, last week actually I covered this sutta. The Mula Pariyaya Sutta that we went over last week, and in that it's related to this, because the ignorant person, he conceives X as X, and he conceives apart from X, or within X, or without. Why does he do that? Because he doesn't understand it. The person doesn't understand it. And only when a person attains stream entry and they gain an insight into emptiness, then they understand they should not conceive the various objects and build up the sense of self, but they do out of habit. So actually that Mulapariyaya Sutta is very much connected to these kind of questions and the personality belief. So it's only through the meditation that we can understand. When you understand how the self, actually our sense of self depends on the past and the future. Because the only way we relate to objects is how they've affected us in the past and how our desire or aversion them is going to affect our future. Like I mentioned in my well-known avocado story, how I hated avocados when I was young, and I thought they were evil because I must have had some unpleasant experience with avocados perhaps in a past life. And so when I was exposed to them again in this life, this aversion came up because my brother didn't have aversion to avocados. My father didn't have aversion to avocados. They liked them, but only I suffered because of that. And so I was relating my past on that. And I remembered last month, I almost gagged on eating avocados. So now that's conditioning my experience in my fear or aversion to eating them now, because I had some experience last week or last month. And then my fear of getting them into the future. So it's very much, this illustrates so much that, the teachings of the Buddha are right on in terms of the way he explained how we, relate to all the different objects and that they're basically connected with the past or the future. Because our mind is predominantly in the future, but then it goes to the past and projects that into the future. So that's an important part of understanding the personality belief and how we go about in trying to break those kind of connections by developing mindfulness. So really the whole practice of the 4 foundations of mindfulness, and especially developing, the 7 factors of enlightenment and, the vipassana form of meditation especially, is dealing with ways of how we can, understand our experiences, from moment to moment, what is happening, how we are reacting to the various things that we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and even think about. How you have aversion to somebody who, insulted you last month or last year, or it's a memory, and then you're holding that aversion, and then you're projecting that in the future. You don't want to meet that person again in the future because you think that, the conflicts are going to arise again. And they may, if you're clinging to those viewpoints, and you wind up getting an argument with that person again in the future, and so on. So anyway, the personality belief is one thing, because we cling to this sense that this I is real, because we don't understand that it's being recreated each moment. And we recreate and re-strengthen it every day the way we continue to relate and react to the people we meet and even all the objects that we come into contact with. So anyway, I hope that helped to clarify some of your confusion about those. Next time your mind, gets attached to something, examine the different ways you're conceiving of it. You're taking it as something that belongs to you. Your aversion is yours, and it's in your mind, or you're, trying to relate to it in so many different ways. The past, and the future, the present, and so on. And to understand that it's all conditioning, and that is what is trapping our mind in this personality belief, especially when you keep on reinforcing, we keep on reinforcing our habits and our beliefs and our opinions. We're clinging to our opinions, our ideas, our belief, and we keep on, arguing with people about them, or, so on, it keeps reinforcing. Anyway, so there was another question this person had, and it was about sharing the merits. So sharing the merits is usually seen as a wholesome act after we perform a specific, kind of good deed. Like, let's say you help somebody in need, or you donate some money to, charity, or even, we practice meditation as, gaining merit, and we want to share that with others. Now, this is a kind of a controversial point, whether we can actually share the merits that we accumulate with others. And, it's difficult to understand that, but it's more or less, usually you're sharing the merits, by changing the way you live, or at least react to people. Let's say if you reduce the amount of anger you have, if you reduce the amount of egotistical, or conceit or ego, if you reduce the amount of greed and aversion, and let's say breaking the precepts. Let's say you as you succeed in practicing the precepts, in that way, actually, you're sharing the merits with your practice with others, because you're not harming other people so much. You're not getting angry at people so much, or you're not causing people to, any sort of problems. So that's the way we share merit with others, really, is by changing ourselves. But to share the merits with your departed relatives, that's, we don't know if our relatives are going to be able to reap those merits. But if they know what you're doing, they could know what you're doing in certain Deva realm. They might know what you're doing. You're thinking about them and honoring them and offering dana on their, death anniversaries. And if they can actually know what you're doing, because in some of those realms they can know that, what we're doing here on earth. But again, it's whether it's they're knowing that or not, really just the fact that we're sharing the merits is a friendly thing. That we're not practicing Dhamma just for ourselves, but we share the Dhamma with others. So I wouldn't worry too much about whether other people are actually going to get it, but just by practicing the Dhamma, we are sharing the merit. So that's a more realistic way that you can see that practice. And remembering your parents and things like that on the death anniversary is establishing your gratitude for what the parents did to you, and wishing them wherever they might be reborn, and may they be well and happy. And so that's good for your mind, and whether it makes them well and happy or not, at least it makes your mind happy. So that's the way that we should try to see some of these various practices that you may have seen or heard that Buddhists are doing in that way, it may be difficult to understand, but we have to try to, what makes sense for us to understand it. And we can't change anybody else's karma. So, everybody takes, when they die, whatever good merits or demerits, good karma or bad karma they've accumulated in this life when they die, that's going to go with them. And they're going to have to reap the result of that. And I don't know of any amount of sharing your merits with them is going to change their karma. But there's many things that, we don't know. These things are very deep and abstruse, so we don't actually know for sure. But it's, it's good to do something rather than doing nothing or, I don't believe in that or something, because if it's true, then, you may suffer from that, and if it's not true, then you won't lose anything. Okay. So having said that much, let's see if there's any questions in the chat box. Somebody in Australia is wishing us good wishes. Well, thank you. Okay, whoever that is. The mere intellectual understanding of Dhamma doesn't seem to help conquering the senses and sense of I, me, and mine. And meditation are looking very difficult and depressing at times. Is there any way to outsource this, like we outsource tech problems to tech support experts? Well, nowadays, they're coming up with all kinds of things. People are going on, these spiritual retreats and taking psilocybin mushrooms or DMT, and to have these experiences of transcendence of the ego. And, some experiences can be very, opening like that, and it's true. You can have momentary experiences where the sense of I is expanded or even transcended, and experience different states of consciousness, but then you come down out of that, and then you lose that basically. And you have to go on either taking that over and over and over again, and who knows if that's going to cause some other problems. And, there's still a lot of research out and being done with that. But, just intellectually understanding is the first step. I mean, you could attain Sotapanna even with that intellectual understanding if you were totally convinced of it. But it helps to, the meditation is going to help you to have these kind of experiences in a more natural way, but it takes longer. But it's a more permanent transformation. The drugs just cause your mind to open and close again. And it's wooey wowie, while you're high, but then for most people, they come down and they basically lose that. So meditation is a way to, even though it takes longer, it's a way to permanently transform, because the drugs only affect the perception basically, and affect the synapses of the brain or other parts of the brain dealing with perception and things like that, or the egoistic thoughts, but then it wears off and it doesn't really change. It doesn't change those thoughts and memories at the cellular level in a permanent way, but meditation does, but especially attaining the path and fruits is really one of the only ways that you permanently transform the way that you perceive and the consciousness. So anyway, but it starts with that intellectual understanding, and then you try to observe these things, like the five aggregates and the six senses, and how your mind is reacting to them. But it takes concentration. And as outsourcing now, everybody, they're hoping AI is going to come and allow people to gain enlightenment, but I don't know. I might have doubts about that. But people, again, they all want a quick method. So, and they're hoping, like to outsource these things. But we have to go into the source. We have to go into the source of our consciousness. And that's the whole Dhamma is about doing that. But it takes a lot of effort. It takes right effort and it takes right understanding. And, people find it difficult to muster up, that kind of, effort. So, but, this tech, to me, the Buddhist methods of meditation are high tech, especially Vipassana meditation. And developing the perception of impermanence is the Buddhist method of high-tech, mental high-tech. But you're developing it yourself through following the advice of the Buddha and the techniques that the Buddha, taught. So does anybody have any... I think that was all the questions in the chat. There's another one. Oh, here. May I ask a question? If I have a close relative in the family who is not practicing right speech, they like to debate with others on the current political issues and harsh speech about opposite political parties, is there anything I can do or say, since it creates a negative energy in the house? Don't engage him in conversation. Some people who are so clinging hard to their views, there's nothing you're going to say is going to convince them otherwise, especially with these political viewpoints. Especially the Republican versus Democrat viewpoints. People are so hardened in their views and so on. And even though all these conspiracy theories are, totally bogus, but people are so much believing it, and you can't talk to these people. So it's better not to get in arguments about it with them. That's my take on it, because you're not going to convince them. At least on those really hard issues, and usually, maybe you could, but people, they're getting so much hardened in their viewpoints, especially with this internet stuff, and all the influence of all these internet things and social medias. To me, it's making things worse in terms of these. People clinging on to their views and opinions. And I'm sorry, people in your family, when I go home, I don't talk about those things with people. So just say, I'd rather not talk about it. or, you believe what you do, and, just go to the ballot and vote. It's about the only thing you can do. Okay, so anybody have any final questions?
There is one more question in the chat, Bhante.
I'm having a lot of grief about all the killing and war. How do you deal with the world's evil? The world is the world, and that's the world, and it is not any more evil than it was thousands of years ago. If you read history and the Crusades and the amount of slaughtering in the name of religions and wrong views, it's been going. It's nothing new. Although this internet and how the whole world is embroiled with it. Before, these things were kind of regional. We didn't know what people on the other side of the world did or believed. It was only localized in one particular, country or something. But it's much more world now. I mean, the whole world is infected. But the only thing how to deal with it again, go to vote. That's about the only way you can do it, because it's gotten to the point where, and even that is, nowadays even voting is sometimes iffy, but, what you can do about it is meditate and just know that, that's the nature of the world. And you can react to it and entangle your mind in it, or you can just, center yourself and just try to not to get sucked into, all the things about it, and just live, your life as best you can without allowing your mind to, get obsessed with it or dragged into other people's obsessions. That's one thing good about being a monk, is that people, come and they're not going to argue with you. They know, we can't say anything to Rahula. He's so cemented in their ways. They don't talk to me. So that's good. Anyway, so the world is difficult. That's even the Buddha said that 2,005 years, 500, 600 years ago. Life of a mortal is difficult. It's bound up with suffering because we allow our mind to get influenced, by others. And the more attachment and clinging you have to families, and the more easier it is to get drawn into those things. Okay? Is there any other? First noble truth, dukkha, satya, right? The truth is suffering. Getting what you want is suffering, not getting what you want is suffering. And in fact, the 5 aggregates of clinging are suffering. And we're clinging to our views, our perceptions, our opinions, our sankharas, the past and the future, and getting embroiled in all those personality beliefs, only in us and also in others. So, Dhamma is the only thing going to save you. Sorry. Okay?
Yeah, Bhante, I have a question. In your the flyer, this week email flyer, you under that flower you said consciousness is like a flower. When it opens, it shines. What is the deeper meaning of that?
Deeper meaning of it is, okay, look at any flower, go out in your garden, and any flower that hasn't opened yet, a closed bud, on any flower, not only a lotus flower or a lily, but, all these flowers. I got a lot of flowers in the garden here, and, they open up and they all have they're beautiful inside. But out from the outside, when they're closed, they don't look very beautiful. They don't shine. But when they open, all those vibrant colors that are usually in the core of a flower, they shine. And so the same with consciousness. When the consciousness of our mind opens, and what I mean by that is greed, hatred, and delusion, all the 10 fetters are which keep the petals of the mind closed, especially our ego. Our mind is closed, it's not open. We're thinking about just me and mine, I and others, or my opinions and my beliefs, my close circle of friends, and we close out, we block a lot of the world because of our clinging to our views and opinions. So the same way when we suffer in our consciousness because of that closed consciousness, holding grudges and ill will and resentment toward others who've done something to us, or just caught in your mental states, fear, depression. All these things are a closed mind. But when it opens and you start weakening and freeing consciousness from those fetters, then you experience more the present moment awareness, where those you're not dragging the past and the future and comparisons and greed and hatred in, and superimposing that on what you're experiencing in the present moment. And so and when you meditate and you gain deeper levels of concentration, you experience the brightness of consciousness. You reach the jhanic levels and just the openness of more pure awareness, and the mind becomes very, very clear. And so that's what I mean. That's the meaning of that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, friends. I think we'll go ahead and bring this discussion to an end now, and take a few minutes and then come back, do some deep breathing and some stretches, and sit down and see if we can, open up that consciousness a little bit. Okay? Okay, so we'll see you back in a few minutes. Straight. Begin some deep, slow breathing. Close the eyes. Feel the body. Begin some deep, slow breathing, 3-part breathing. After breathing in, hold the air in the lungs for 2 or 3 seconds. Allow the oxygen to get out into the bloodstream. Slowly breathe out. Feeling the last bit of air go out of the lungs. Just take a few more deep, slow breaths like that, developing this mindfulness of breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we'll combine that breathing with these movements. On the next in-breath, raise the hands over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten the arms, stretch your head back, Stretch upwards. And release your fingers. The out breath, arms back to the sides. Feel the sensations in your hands and fingers. Again, in breath. Palms up. Stretch upwards. Bend back a little bit. Feel the arch of the spine. Release the fingers, out breath. Feel the sensation. Once more in. Stretch, bend back a little more. Release the fingers, out breath. Now close the eyes, we keep feeling the body. Feel the feet pressing the floor. Hands and fingers at the side. Clothing touching the skin. Feel the head balanced on top. Feel the eyes in the socket. Just remember the present moment of standing, just letting go of your thoughts. Just let the thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Keep the standing body and sensations in the front of the awareness. On the next in-breath, lift up on the toes while raising the arms over the head. Face the hands toward each other, a few inches apart, stretch up. In the out-breath, come back down. Heels to the floor. Use the in-breath to help lift up the body. And blowing up a helium balloon, the body rises up, stretch, out breath. Once more, in, out. Let's close the eyes. Keep feeling the body, don't let the mind wander in thoughts. Body's always right here. 100 more pounds of flesh and bones, feet pressing the floor, clothing touching the skin, so many different body sensations, no need to get lost in thoughts, by the thought. All you need is right here, right now, awareness, body-centered awareness. Better than ayahuasca. Okay, next we'll do side bending. So on an in-breath, raise both arms up. On an out-breath, bend over the right side. In-breath up. left side, out breath. In. Keep alternating sides with the breathing. Once more to each side. The out breath. Lower the arms. Feeling the body. Each exercise, you'll feel more and more sensations in different places all over the body. Remember standing, even repeating the word standing helps to create that perception, outline of a standing body, the mind's eye. Next we'll do the squatting or knee bending. On the next in breath, lift up on the toes, raise the arms up front for balance. On the out breath, lower down, balancing on the balls of the feet. Come down into the squatting position if you can. And on the in breath, feel the muscles in the legs pushing the body up on the toes. Out breath, lower down. Feel the muscles in the legs lowering down. In. Out. In. Out. Relax. Feel the increased heartbeat by the pulsations, any itchy, prickly sensations. Remember standing, standing. Now spread the feet apart, about 3 feet. Holding the arms out at the sides, twisting from right to left. We breathe in. On the out breath, twist to the right. Keep your eyes focused on the hand going back. In breath, come back to the front. And let your feet turn with the body and twist to the other side, the out breath. In breath. Keep alternating sides, breathing. Once more to each side. Come back to the front. Relax. Close the eyes. Feel each foot pressing the floor. Feel the hands and fingers. Subtle pulsations, tingling sensation. Feel the clothing touching the skin. Feel the head and face. Feel the eyes and the socket. Just this body exactly as it is here and now. Feel subtle life force vibrations, any itchy, prickly sensation, aches or pain. All those sensations basically are just cellular vibration. Now, hold the hands together at the chest. And the in-breath, hands over the head. And the out-breath, hands to the chest, and bend the knees and lower down. Try to keep the back upright. In-breath, all the way up. Out. Out breath. Feel the outline of the body. Don't let the mind wander in thoughts. The body's always here. Now bring your legs and feet closer together. Standing straight, with the head turning from right to left. So in breath, head to the right. Look over the right shoulder. The out breath, turn the head 180 degrees back to the left. Look over the left shoulder. In breath, right. Concentrate into the neck vertebrae. Getting them twisting. Out breath, left. Once more to each side. Let the head stop in the middle. Keep the eyes closed, keep feeling the body. Feel that outline of the body in the mind's eye, head on top, arms at the sides, clothing touching the skin, feet pressing the floor. Standing, standing, standing. Now we're going to just do one last exercise. The sunburst backward and forward, bending. Hold the hands so the palms are facing outward and the edges of your hands touch together. Touch the edges of your hands. On an in-breath, lift the hands up about level to your eyes, and then begin spreading the arms apart as you breathe out, and then backwards. Look up at the ceiling, feel the arch in the spine. And breathe in, carefully lift up, holding the arms out at the sides, and on the out breath, lower the arms and hands down. Bend downwards, try to keep your legs straight and touch the floor if you can. Let the little bones in the lower spine stretch out. Begin standing up, turn the palms outward, on an in-breath, raise the hands up. Out breath, spread the arms apart and bend back. In breath, lift up. Out breath, lower arms. Keep the legs straight. Once more. Palms outward, in breath. Out breath, bend back. In breath. The out breath. And try to hold a downward stretch longer. Keep the legs straight. The little bones in the lower spine, when the spine joins the pelvic girdle and the sacrum bones. Feel the blood coming into the head. Now begin lifting up. On an in-breath, bring the hands together at the chest. The out-breath, hands to the sides. Close the eyes. Feel the outline of the body. Try to feel as though the body, whole body, nervous system has been washed, bathed with activated healing life force awareness. Feel that organic aliveness of the whole body. Okay, so now let's come back to our seats and get ready for the sitting awareness. Just get comfortable in your sitting posture. Just try to sit straight. Try to align your spine and the back of your head in a straight line. And keep the chin level with the floor. See if you can kind of imagine or feel the spinal column going up through the middle of your back, joining the base of the skull. Just feel the head balanced on top. Just gently close your eyes. Try to feel the outline of the sitting body, sense of the head on top. The arms, the sides, the hands touching together. Feel the buttocks pressing the seat. Try to feel or establish that natural inward curve of the lower spine. Which helps to support the weight of the upper body. And just remember sitting, sitting, sitting. Then begin taking some deep, slow breaths. Hold the air in the lungs for 2 seconds, then slowly breathe out. Try to feel the last bit of air go out of the lungs. And the brief pause and the next in-breath. Try to take several more deep breaths like that, developing this present moment mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Hold the breath a second. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Feel the last bit of air go out. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to count our breaths from 1 to 10. Try to develop a more continuous concentration on the breathing. I'll do the counting for you. Just try to follow that. Your breathing and concentration. So with the next expanding in-breath, mentally count to 1. With the contracting out-breath, also count to 1. Feel the last bit of air go out of the lungs. Next in-breath, 2. Out-breath, 2. In, 3. Out, 3. in 4, out 4, in 5, out 5, in 6, out 6, in 7, out 7, in 8, out 8, in 9, out 9, in 10, out 10. Now discontinue the counting. Let your breathing return to its uncontrolled or shorter, irregular rhythm. But continue to feel it, to observe it with the eye of mindfulness. Just keep your attention focused on the residual expanding and contracting movements of your abdomen, rib cage, or chest. Try to feel where the clothing rubs against the skin of the abdomen, stomach, rib cage, or chest as it expands and contracts, making those sensations the primary focus of your concentrated awareness. Just be like a scientist looking down through a microscope, observing the experiment of breathing. And notice the 4 phases of each breath cycle. The expanding in breath and the brief pause. The contracting out breath and the brief pause. Just over and over and over again. And to help stay focused and to remember, you can use these brief mental reminders. In, sitting. Out, sitting. in sitting, out, sitting. It's the ongoing, continuous connection to the present moment. This breathing body is the natural connection to the to the present moment. We lose that connection to the breathing body. The mind either goes asleep or gets lost in various wandering thoughts, likes, dislikes, greed, hatred, delusions, all the views about self. Just in sitting, out, sitting. If you still have lots of thoughts, you can try counting the breaths from 1 to 10 by yourself. See if you can count the breaths without the mind wandering away or going asleep. Just let your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Just keep the breathing body in the front of the awareness. Like you were just looking into a mirror, just watching the body sitting and breathing, feeling it, sitting and breathing. Stay awake, alert, turning up the power of the mental microscope. Notice more and subtler details. In sitting, out, sitting. So many different sensations coming and going. Being alert for thoughts, sneaking up into the mind to steal your attention away. From time to time, take a few deep, slow breaths to help stay awake, centered in the body. Try to notice how each breath is different, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Sometimes the pauses between the breaths are longer or shorter. It's always changing. To notice those changes helps keeps the mind awake, alert, centered in the body. Just try to identify the five aggregates as they grab your attention. This is material form. This is pleasant or painful feeling. This is a perception, a mental image, or thought. This is ego consciousness, urgent, wantings, aversion. Our self is created from these aggregates. The sense of ourself, the past and the future. Study that, try to understand that moment by moment. in, sitting, out, sitting. So many different sensations come and go, pleasure and pain come and go, sounds come and go, perceptions, urges, likes and dislikes come and go. So many memories, thoughts of the past and future. Thoughts of I, me, or mine come and go. These are all just the accumulated 5 aggregates of body, mind, and this world, in their nature of constant change and impermanence, without any permanent existing core. With all these moments of experience are just arising and vanishing through the expanded space of present moment body-centered awareness. Sabbe sankhara anicchati yada panyaya pasati atanipindati dukkhi esamaggo visuddhiya dukkha patacani dukkha bhaya patacani bhaya sokha patacani sokha hontu sabbe pipanino. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. They arise only to briefly last, then vanish. When one sees this with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to freedom. And may the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear-struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. In this way, may all beings live with mindfulness and wisdom. Thus spoke the Buddha. Now I invite you to join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times slowly. We do the chanting on a long out breath. If you like, you can place the hands together at the chest. Take a deep breath. Sadhu. Breathe. Sadhu. Breathe. Sadhu. Place your hands at the edge of your knees. Take one more deep breath as you breathe in. Stretch your head back, pull against your hands, arch the spine. Lift the head up on an in-breath, and on the out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. And lift the chin up level on an in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends, I hope you're able to have at least some moments or longer of some good mindfulness, concentration, perhaps a little wisdom. So I want to mention, this coming week, we are going to be having a 1-week retreat here at the Lion of Wisdom Center. And I hope to have the Dhamma talks each day broadcasted over the Zoom. Now, if we do that, the Dhamma talk will be at 2:00 Eastern Time each day, starting on Sunday. The retreat starts on Saturday evening, but from Sunday until the following Sunday, we hope to broadcast the Dhamma talks, at least through Saturday. It would be at 2:00, and then the closing talk on Sunday morning at about 10:45 or 11. And would we be using the same Zoom channel? I mean, the same link? So this same link that you've been using for Wednesday nights will be used for that during this retreat. So at 2 p.m. starting on Sunday, the 16th of June. So if you like to tune in to those Dhamma talks, and then perhaps the meditation afterwards as well, then you can do that. Okay? Anybody have any questions about that? So until then, be well, be safe, be mindful, be wise. Practice your M&Ms. And Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Thank you, Bhante.
Namo Buddhaya. Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
You're welcome.
Have a good retreat.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bhante.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bhante.
Good night.
Thank you.
Happy birthday on the 21st of June, Bhante.
Yeah.